Hey folks, I know I am just an old guy telling stories, but please leave a like and subscribe before we start. Let's enjoy in today's stories. Hey, my name is Mike. I am 25 years old, and as the title says, I can't live without internet, either to play League of Legends or to surf the web. I use a lot my PC, cell phone, or tablet. This is something very usual to me. I study informatics, so it's almost like a lifestyle, but several years ago, I had the experience of my life while surfing the depths of the dark net. I am not going to lie, I've been in contact with internet since I was a kid, so I started to dive the deep web even before it was something popular. I am a great fan of the Roos Ulbricht and Silk Road case, and I used to use a lot of Hispanic forums such as Cabola Chan in all of its versions, which are like Five, Tortilla, and others. Also, obviously, some social networks on dark web like Galaxy and others which I can't remember right now. So when I was 15, after school, I used to arrive home like 2 p.m. I live in Mexico, and log into my old Acer laptop, start an old version of Tor, and some VPN apps on my system. I also used to set some special settings to my network config, such as proxy and others. I'm not pretending to be an expert. I was young, and pretty much of what I did I learned from other users on Cybersec forums. Now, my favorite hobby while surfing the deep web was to seek for paydos. I know, not so original, but since I managed a not-so-small Cybersec group on Facebook with some online friends of mine, I felt secure. We used to connect at the same time. Some of them were working. They always thought I was an accountant, but I was a kid. I didn't do anything advanced. All I had to do is search for posts from people asking for you-know-what, and try to get some information that could link to that person's real online identity, like a real Facebook account, or an institutional email address, a phone number. All of these things nowadays have some techie names like doxing or OSINT tools, some stuff like that. Back at the time, it was very easy to find people online. Actually, now I think about it twice. Almost chillingly easy. Anyways, I was having the time of my life while searching for paydos and playing Halo Combat Evolved on my old laptop. And one day, that changed. I was at home, watching some YouTube videos, IDK about what? Probably Smosh or something cool at that time. When I saw something came into my email, I checked, and it was an email from an unknown Yahoo email account. I started reading. It was in English. Something unusual for a DES extension email address. My email address is from Spain because when I created my email, Xbox 360 was so popular, and they were giving 1 free month on Gold Pass, that the servers were full, so I couldn't use a .com extension, and instead Microsoft gave me the option to choose a .s one. I was frightened. This person who identified himself as Speedy Gonzalez was telling me that he knew who I was and what I did for fun. So at this point I was sort of scared, but didn't relate one thing to another. It didn't make too much sense for me. So I let it go. Like 1 month after I received a second email from the same person and a screenshot of a comment that I made on a post on the deep web. And that's when I freaked out. It was not possible. I had never used any personal account or information while diving the deep web. How did this person knew my real email address? I was young and started freaking out. All the rumors about hackers from the deep web started coming to my mind, and all I could do is see my laptop screen with horror. I texted my friends on Facebook, the ones from the Cybersec group, to let them know about the situation. I tried to get some information from the person behind the real account, using the metadata on the email, but couldn't get much info. The IP was linked to some Russian location and wasn't going to help that much. My first logical thought was that one of these people that knew who I was, even I never told them my deep web fake ID, maybe had tracked me, and they were playing a prank on me, a terrible one. So I asked for them to tell me the truth, like, haha, I know you guys, come on. But also these online weirdos used to be very sincere with me. I knew some of them from photos they updated with their families and all that. So what if? Why me? Why a kid? Then I started thinking maybe one of them gave the info to someone who was scary, but why? And how? If they didn't know my alias on the deep web. Anyways, I didn't reply again and blocked the email address, hoping it was over this time. But after a couple weeks, I received another email from Speedy Gonzalez. This time I really freaked out and thought I was fucked. And I really was. It was a threat. Whoever this person was sent me some links to Facebook accounts, my family ones, and tried to extortion me to stop posting these pedos' real accounts on Facebook. Through my fake account, I used a fake Facebook account. The email included many threats, such as telling my whole family what I used to do, which was not something I felt bad about but would bring many questions from my parents. And, you want to keep your family safe, right? And it included some coordinates. It wasn't something weird back at the time. Google Maps was not so popular. I'd if it already existed, but Google Earth coordinates were the thing. So I put the coordinates on the app, hoping it was going to send me to some weird shit place, but oh my was I scared when it showed my street and my block, on my city, on my state. I understood the threat and finally replied to Speedy Gonzalez 2 saying, "I'm sorry, I'll stop. I will keep my word as long as you keep yours and never hurt me or my family. Please, I'm young and never thought I would get in trouble." After a couple hours, all I could do is check my email over and over to see if I had anything from this weirdo, and there it was, one last threat. "You'll see what we are capable of just as a display of power, so you don't mess around again." I replied saying, "Please, I swear I understood," and didn't got any reply. I was sure these fuckers knew what they were doing. One of my real-life friends was another deep web freak, and he had made transactions through the dark net and all that, and he had received multiple threats. Once he got all his money stolen from his debit card, and another day, while he was teaching me how to sell info, he received like a lot of money into his personal account, like 7,000 USD. So I never replied anything else, hoping these people would simply forget about me or something. And until now, I have never knew anything else about these Speedy Gonzales. But here's the thing that still hunts me till my actual age of 25. 1 year, not kidding, 1 year after the incident, I avoided getting into the deep web like for 3 years. I came back from work. I was 18 at that time. I was a teacher of informatics and English in a kindergarten. I used to come home 12 so I could change and go to school. I arrived home and the doors were unlocked. I didn't see my mom's car on the front. I sneaked like an intruder on my own house, and were horrified when I saw everything upside down. Somebody robbed our house. I called the cops, I called my mom. Everyone rushed to my house to see what happened. When I started checking for the things they robbed, I was in shock. Everything was on place. Well, it was a mess, obviously, but my mom's laptop, my laptop, the house computer, the TV, money, clothes, jewelry, everything seemed to be there, thrown on the floor or somewhere else, but not robbed. Cops were surprised of this, and they told me that it was unusual to see this and gave me the info to fill a report and file a complaint. They left, and my mom and I cleaned all the mess. After a couple days, I was pretty much okay, of course. Still scared about the robbery, but fine. But Mom couldn't help feeling something was missing from the house. I was sitting on the kitchen doing my homework on my laptop when she talked to me in a very worried tone and said, "I know what's missing." I stand up from my chair in the kitchen and went to the living where she was. She had opened every file, folder, and bag. We had on one big piece of furniture I could see papers, old IDs, old mobiles, books, the kind of old stuff that moms put into old pieces of furniture. She saw me in a very serious mode, like if I had done something bad, gave me a small paper bag, a paper bag I knew very well, and said, "They just took your pictures." No joke, all the pics were there. Like the pictures families put in photo albums, we just keep them in that bag, except for mine. Mom started walking to her room, and in a serious tone she said, without turning her head, "Just let me know if we are in trouble," and shut her door closed. Since that day, I never tried to get back in action on Deep Web. Until now, a couple weeks ago, I reported some, you-know-what kind of content to the FBI through their website. I hope I don't get in trouble this time. Wish me luck. You have to excuse me for my spelling and poor grammar. I'm typing this up in a hurry before I have to be on the move again. I'm not really sure if this will work, if any of you will actually read this, but I have to try. I need a place where they won't look and Reddit should work, I hope. I'm one of the few who solved the cicada puzzle. Lucky me, right? No. It was January 5th, 2015. I woke up and hopped on the chat server. This was my routine every morning. My internet buddies were pretty good at informing me what happens online when I'm asleep or miss anything. R3DM posted a link to a TXT file. At first I thought it was nothing. He always posts stuff like this, and usually it's nothing more than kids thinking they're hackers faking some data dump. When I viewed the TXT, it was slightly interesting. Okay, I thought this was pretty good for some kid. I had nothing to do, so I decided to play along. I'm honestly not some big genius, you can probably tell by now. I do know my way around a computer. I got some pretty good tools thanks to my online friends. I won't bore you with how I solved the puzzle as it was a boring one. After deciphering the first message, I got a Byte Onion link to a hidden Tor site on the deep web. When I got to this site, I was given a test with some pretty deep stuff. I knew why. It was obvious they not only wanted to know who I was, but how I think. They wanted to make sure I knew who I was and how I think. I completed the questions, hit submit, and that was the end of that. That was it. Nothing. No reward, not even a congratulations message. I was a bit disappointed. I spent all my time for nothing. A couple of days passed and I couldn't help but think why I did what I did. What was the point of all that? Surely there was a reason. I mean, these were some pretty complex people from the looks of it. All the reading and thinking from their puzzles gave me a headache. After about 2 weeks, I get a PM from an unknown user on our chat server. It read, "Hello, Garforas Blomit on behalf of Cicada. We would like to congratulate you on completing the puzzle. It was no easy task. We would like to extend an invitation to our meet and greet. We hope to see you there. May epiphany fall upon you." A34.onion. I changed the link for obvious reasons. I was shocked, my heart was racing. It was such a simple message, yet it meant so much to me, but why? I had no idea. I didn't even care how they found me. I just wanted in at this point. I wanted it like a kid wanted ice cream. When I clicked on the link, I'm presented with this black page and a white cicada. I clicked on the cicada and I get an address in a whole other state. I didn't even hesitate that night. I booked a flight to New York and took some time off from work. I arrive in New York so nervous I could hardly sleep. 3 hours before the event, I get a notification on my phone. It's a PM. It read, "We are terribly sorry for the inconvenience, but for security reasons we have changed the location to. We hope to see you there. Welcome to the journey, Pilgrim." It was a little ways away from the original location, but no worries, I could still make it. I arrive to the location and it's dark. I get this eerie feeling. I double-check the address on my phone to make sure I'm at the right place. Sure enough, I knock on the door. No answer. I check the door to see if it was locked. It wasn't. I came all this way. It would be a waste to turn back now, just because I'm a little scared, or a lot. I walk into this dark building. It looks like a storage place. As I'm ready to just turn around and leave, the light comes on, and there's 2 other men dressed in suits and masks. At this point, I'm shitting my pants. I don't know what kind of kinky shit I got myself into, but I wanted out. "Don't worry, we mean no harm. Think of this as an interview," one guy said to me. I won't get too into it, but they just asked for my views on some subjects like politics, things happening around the world, how I feel about life. After the interview, they both shook my hand, and one guy said, "Welcome to the journey, Pilgrim, and may epiphany fall upon you." He gave me an envelope and that was it. They got me a ride back to my hotel and reimbursed me for my plane ticket and room. They even gave me a little extra. When I got to my room, I opened up the envelope. In it was a plane ticket to Dresden, Germany for June 8th, about 5 months away. A passport, credit card, and a check, all with a different name, my new alias. When I got, "Oh shit, someone just connected to my hotspot. They're near, I gotta go. I'll finish when I can." Sorry it's been so long. It's hard to get online when you're trying to stay off the grid. So much has happened I don't even know what to say. I guess I'll try. I have changed names and locations for obvious reasons. Fast forward a couple of months to June 8th, the day my plane leaves for Germany. I had so much doubt whether I should go or not. What was I getting myself into? Why was I so eager to just drop everything and go? I wouldn't have acted like this 6 months ago. I figured it was too late. I had already requested the time off. I had the plane ticket along with everything else. Hey, at the very least, I got a free trip. I could just go sightseeing, explore, and whatnot. I was wrong. I got a ride from my friend to the airport. Robin gave me a hug and told me to take care. She was worried I could see it in her eyes. I don't think she bought my story. I told her I was going to Germany to see an old friend. Since I've known her for quite some time, almost my whole life. She knew I had no friends in Germany. We basically knew all the same people. I stuck to my story and she eventually stopped asking questions. I checked in my bags and headed over to security. I was shitting myself. I had a fake passport and ID. I could see the lady checking everyone's passport for authenticity. I could feel my heart beating in my throat, making it hard to swallow. What would happen if I got caught? What would I say? Some super secret group is flying me out to Germany for some secret conference or some shit. It was starting to hit me how insane all of this was. Am I crazy? What am I thinking? Sir Passport and ID. Oh shit, it's my turn. I don't say much but hand her my ID and passport. Busy day, huh? I was trying to distract her. She just looked at me. Shit, why did I have to do that? She's on to me, I thought. Here you go, have a safe trip. I grabbed my passport and left. I couldn't believe it worked. To pass the time, I pull out my phone and decide to read up on the news. One article really caught my attention. Bilderberg. World's most powerful flock to annual secret meeting. For some reason, I have always been interested in this group. I didn't know much about them other than it was an elite group of the most powerful, wealthiest, and most influential people around the world. I have heard theories about them from crazy Illuminati theorists, but I wanted to really know what they were about. Anyways, I had a pretty good flight, slept most of the way. After touching down, I got a ride to my hotel and checked in. I got escorted to my room. As soon as I enter, I see a little black folded card. It read, "Welcome, Mr. Bickman, 3301. I called Robin to let her know I arrived at my room and I'm okay. I pull out my laptop and decide to check the server to see what my buddies were doing online. I see a PM, "Thank you for deciding to come out. We hope you enjoy yourself. Everything is on us. We will keep you posted. 3301. I had the first and second day all to myself. I was worried something had happened. No one made contact with me, other than a call I got asking for some sizes, which I thought was odd. Finally, on the third day, June 11th, I got a knock at my door. I open it, and hanging on my door is a suit. I see no one in the hallway. I lay the suit on my bed. I see a card in the front pocket. It read, "Be ready by 17. At 17 or on the dot, I get a call. "Mr. Bickman, your ride is here." I go down to find a black SUV waiting for me, along with two guys in suits and a woman. She introduced herself as Dominica, Russian. About halfway there, she says to me, "We have to put this on you for security reasons. I hope you understand." I was fine with it. If they wanted me dead or something, it would have happened by now. When we arrive, she takes the mask off. As the mask comes off, I'm greeted to a huge mansion with lights and the greenest grass. A fountain so big and shiny, I don't even know how they moved it. The fanciest cars are pulling in, people dressed to the nines from all over the world. "Right this way." Dominica gently wraps her arm around mine and guides me through the entrance. Security already knows who she is, as they let us through like nothing. You wouldn't believe the people I saw there, if only I could tell you. She takes me to this dark room. I'm sitting there for what felt like hours. Finally, I'm greeted by some guy. He introduced himself as Henri de Castries. As I shake his hand, I noticed a ring with a weird symbol on it. It looked so familiar. I knew I've seen it somewhere. Mr. Castries told me I was not the only one to solve the puzzle. In fact, lots of people solved the puzzle. What attracted him to me was my interview and the way I passed the test. He described me as a rare mind, someone that could see the truth and wanted to know nothing but the truth. He got pretty deep into some stuff. Mr. Castries said he had a job for me. Apparently he was very paranoid and wanted to move and store some sensitive stuff from his business servers, and if I did a good job, we would go from there. I told him no problem. Mr. Castries told me he would call me when the time came. He gave me this little burner flip phone and sent me on my way. When I got back to my room, I couldn't believe all this happened. I decided to do a search on Mr. Castries. It was obvious he was very important. He had to have some kind of digital print. Upon typing his name in Google, he popped up. No need for an advanced search or web crawler. It was super easy. Henri de Castries is CEO of an international insurance agency known as AXA, worth over €1 trillion. It gets better. He is also in charge of the Bilderberg Group. After finding this out, I remembered the symbol on his ring is the Masonic symbol Freemasons. I don't know what the fuck I got myself into. I've heard some crazy shit about them. I'm sorry, I'm tired. Being on the run will do that to you. The paranoia gets to you. I haven't talked to anyone in days. No friends or family, not even my online buddies, out of fear of bringing them into this. I will continue when I get the chance. For most people, living in a van is a strange life choice. For me, it's ideal. I just love the freedom it gives me, and the money I'm saving is a bonus. To avoid questions from my boss and co-workers, I take the bus to work. I've been living in my van for a little over a month now. It's a normal day. I finished up my shift, did some grocery shopping, then got the bus back to my van. As I'm getting off the bus, I drop my grocery bag, a can of soup rolls, under the damn bench, where I find a clear plastic jar with a handwritten note inside. I open it to find this weird URL written on a plain white A4 paper and nothing else. My first thought was that this is just some kids, but why the hell would anyone want to hide this of all things? I didn't want to take it, so I just took a picture of the note, I put it back, and quickly got the hell out of there in case anyone turned up to collect it. Once in the safety of my van, I got out my phone to look at where the link goes. To find it leads to 2 JPG images, titled Cubicle 13, a room full of office cubes and office and old computer. That's weird, I thought. Then I realized Cubicle 13 is over 7 gigabytes, way larger than any JPG file should be. A little creeped out, what could this possibly be for, I thought. My mind ran wild, imagining what could be hidden in those images. But most likely they are full of viruses and malware. Of course I'm curious, but there's no way I'm going to risk my good computer. The next afternoon, it occurred to me that I still have my old laptop. The keyboard is fucked, but the rest of the computer works well enough for this purpose. I wiped the hard drive and reinstalled Windows 7. I downloaded the 2 JPG files. Cubicle 30 JPG has a username and password not very well hidden on one of the monitors in the picture. I had no idea where to go from here, so I posted it to 4chan's X board to see if anyone can help me out. Thanks all for all your help. With that, I installed 7's IP. Office JPG turned up nothing. Then I tried Cubicle with 13 JPG, a Linux disk image with the title kx88r1.so, and a text file turned up. I burnt the ISO to a USB stick and booted into the operating system. The first thing to appear on the screen was the Kali Linux boot menu. I just selected the first option, Live. After a few more seconds, a login page appears on the screen. Then I entered the username and password from the image the ISO was embedded in. The next thing I knew, I'm looking at someone's desktop. The wallpaper is a Polybius arcade game. I explored the files and programs. It has all the usual Kali hacking tools, and it has 2 games installed: Tor browser, LibreOffice, and Rhythmbox, etc. The pictures, video, and the music folders combined have hundreds of files, nothing too crazy. But the Documents folder has information about weapons, lockpicking, 100 ways to disappear, and the Anarchist Cookbook. Even more unsettling, the folder on the desktop titled Little Black Book contains photos he has taken in someone's house, and a text file that reads, "Your IP address has been logged. Please be patient while we are tracking your location. Within 7 days, someone will be in contact with you. You should never have booted into this operating system. I'm not worried because it wasn't connected to the internet, and I removed the Wi-Fi card. From what I can ascertain, this is probably used as an information exchange to communicate. I figured I should just give this to the authorities to handle. I shut down the computer and handed over everything I have to the police. After questioning me for 20 minutes, they promised to look into it. Trying to fall asleep that night was difficult. After a while, I got out my phone and listened to an audiobook that I can fall asleep to. I wake up at around 3 a.m. to loud banging on my van's side door. "This is the police. We know you are in there," a deep male voice said. A strong feeling that came over me told me to check who's out there. I carefully peeked outside through a curtain. My heart sinks. I see 2 shady-looking men in black hoodies. One of them is the cop I was talking to the morning before. Definitely not here on official police business. Too scared to do anything, I just sat there listening as they tried the locked doors and continued knocking loudly. After a couple of minutes, I could hear them arguing. "You said he's living in here." "No. I said the fucker told us he's living in a van and that he was parked here at the time he found it." This all went on for 10 minutes, but it felt like hours. They argued for a few more minutes, then I heard them leave. I climbed up to the front seat and started up the engine and got out of there. Since then, I've been receiving texts, messages, and emails threatening me. Fearing they can track my phone, I got rid of my SIM card and got a new phone number. I'm going to be laying low for a while. I had a childhood friend who was obsessed with the occult. So about this childhood friend, Sarah, nice girl. She had blonde hair and bright blue eyes. Knew her since elementary school. She had Pokemon Pearl, and I had Pokemon Diamond. This led us on the fast track to being friends due to the needs to trade between the 2 versions and our shared love of Pokemon. We became even closer with sleepovers, camping trips, and living only a 20-minute bike ride away from each other. Middle school is when she started really getting into occult stuff. First it was a Ouija board. She would pull that out pretty much every night we hung out together, trying to speak to the dead. She got into crystals and witch culture online after that, but she didn't stop there. By 7th grade, she had cut herself for a magic ritual, and it was a very deep cut on her palm too. She actually ended up having major nerve damage on her hand, and her parents quickly got her into therapy. But none of that even came close to stopping her obsession with the occult. It was a non-stop barrage of cryptids, magic, cults, demons, spirits. It was all she ever talked about. She once showed me these super creepy sites on a Tor browser. She said they held secret symbols with real power. She had a necklace cropped together made from wood, metal, and other various jewels. I think there was some hair on there too, from a sheep or something. It was modeled after one of those symbols, the one called Gateway. It was one large circle surrounding a smaller circle inside. Inside the smaller circle was a mandala artwork. The symbol flowed down from that with 2 small circles leading to an upside-down triangle. On her necklace, both the circles were made of wood, and the mandala was sewn together with multicolored threads. Just below that circle was a trail of jade and quartz, leading to an upside-down triangle that she claimed was obsidian. She wore that necklace literally every single day, all day. I never saw her without it. This and the other parts of her obsession made her an easy target for bullying. I was her only friend. I'm ashamed to admit I stopped talking to her to avoid being bullied by association. She ended up dropping out in grade 11, and that was the last I saw of her. Until yesterday, 3 years later, when she knocked on the door to my dorm that night. I almost immediately slammed the door in her face when I saw her. She looked terrifying. She was completely bald and her skin was pallid and gray. She smelt like rotten eggs and wore clothes that could generously be described as old rags. She had an awful, fresh-looking burn on her face, and her eyes were clouded over. The only reason I recognized her was that she was still wearing the same necklace. After a moment of gawking, I managed to regain my composure and ask, Sarah, is that you? Hey, she said. Long time no see. Probably rudely, I asked, what happened to you? A rueful chuckle rose from her, and she said, oh, more than you could ever know, more than you would ever want to. I honestly wasn't sure if I should even let her into my house. My first suspicion was that she became an addict of some sort. But I did have a lot of sympathy. I mean, she was a friend of mine and clearly was going through a lot. The guilt overcame my better judgment, and I invited her in. She felt around for the door frame and took tentative steps inside. She walked towards my living room, keeping her hand on the wall the entire time. Watching her walk in my house, another question came into my mind. How did you find me anyway? She smiled wryly and said, that wasn't hard at all, Facebook. I laughed nervously. Oh, of course. I also thought to myself that I need to get my location off of the internet as soon as possible. Regardless, I helped her find a seat on my couch and sat across from her in my recliner. I tried to be a good host and asked her if she needed anything to drink. She declined. We sat in awkward silence for a moment before Sarah broke the ice. So, what have you been up to lately? I said bluntly. Not much, just trying to get through college. I swallowed a bit before asking, what about you? She contemplated for a moment before answering, reaching, trying to see beyond the veil, trying to be a more than an ape on a goddamn rock, getting just a step away from cosmic mediocrity. So close now, farther away than ever. I was stunned. I was worried she had suffered a mental break or something. I mean, how do you even react when someone says something like that so genuinely and seriously? I reacted by sputtering out, that's cool. She sighed and looked straight at me despite her blindness. You could have been great too, you know. You settled for insignificance. I needed to get her out of my dorm immediately. It was 100% a mistake to ever let her in here. The question was how. If I straight up told her to leave, it would be a fight, and I was unsure if she'd be willing to turn to violence. I decided in that moment I'd let her stay the night and find an excuse to get her out tomorrow. Hopefully she would leave of her own accord sooner, though. I brushed off her comment with a laugh and asked if she wanted to watch TV. I did cringe when I said watch, but she didn't seem to mind. I have Apple TV, but none of my channels would load. I checked my phone, and it also wouldn't connect to anything. My internet was out, just my luck. When in doubt, stress eat. I decided to make some ramen. I asked Sarah if she wanted any, but she declined. I sat across from her and ate my ramen, silently hoping this encounter would end. I tensed up as she began to speak. So, can I ask for something from you? My thoughts immediately go to money. She wants what little savings I have, and there's a distinct possibility she'll get violent if I say no. She continued to speak. Can I crash on your couch tonight? I suppressed my sigh of relief that that's all she wanted. I could accommodate that. I replied, sure. I think I'll be hitting the hay soon, honestly. Sarah said, oh, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Alarm bells immediately started ringing in my head, and I spat out angrily. What the hell do you mean by that? She snarked back, oh, I've read your thoughts. You think I'm some monster here to rob one of the few friends I've ever had. I would never do that. It's not me you have to worry about. What do you mean it's not you? Sarah is someone after you. Should I call the cops? I wish it was just someone who was after me, she said, a hint of sadness in her voice. She continued on, I know you don't believe in any of this shit, but I went too far. I tried to see what no one has ever meant to. I tried to know the unknowable. This burn, this stealing of my eyesight, it was a punishment. This shocked me, and I asked passionately, who did this to you? She angrily replied, it's not a who, it's that damn. She stopped herself from speaking. I could see blood start leaking from her nose. She muttered to herself, you can't do it yet, you can't do it yet, you can't do it yet, you can't do it yet. My worry had reached a new level. Was some gangster or dealer gonna break into my dorm to come kill her? And maybe me simply because I'm here? I took a deep breath and tried to dismiss those fears, and some of the more improbable ones I had. Sarah and I sat in silence for what felt like forever. I checked my phone a few times. The internet was still out. I decided I'd just go to sleep and hope for the best. Just as I was about to get up, the power flickers off. Sarah gasped and said, "Shit, it's coming. Stay beside me, please." I was shuddering in fear, and all I could do was nod. Mystical or not, there was potentially real danger. I decided to go and dial 911. My phone rang and eventually connected to the police department. I sighed in relief and spoke. "Oh, thank the Lord. I'm in my dorm 115 at..." I was cut off by the most horrid sound I've ever heard. It sounded like nails on a chalkboard in a factory amplified right next to my ears. And that sound started to form words. Sarah Warren. Sarah Warren, Sarah Warren, Sarah Warren, Sarah Warren. It went on like that until Sarah took the phone out of my hands and shut it off. I was full on panicking and grabbed her, yelling, "What the fuck was that? What was that?" She was tense and said nothing to me. We stood there in the dark for about a minute. The only sound was both of us breathing heavily. With a massive bang, the door to my dorm flew off its hinges and into the hall. The ground beneath my feet was shaking with tremendous force, and I could hear my TV fall off its stand. My hair and clothes blew back like I was in a wind tunnel, but so much more intense. I could feel an electric charge surround me, and all my hair stood on end. The dark was illuminating by a bright, iridescent light. A thing floated into my room. It looked like a rainbow Mobius strip mixed with a tesseract infinitely collapsing in on itself and reforming. I could feel a vice grip of hands on me. Sarah grabbed me and held me in front of her. She yelled out, "Please take her instead, an ignorant soul." The thing responded with a voice deeper than thunder that echoed more than a cave. "I care not for your appeasement, you power seeker. You know too much for your station. You will pay the cost for your knowledge." Sarah's grip on me loosened and the thing dragged her towards it. She screamed and begged for help, but her body was dragged into it. I could see her shape and body distort in an inhuman way as she let out a last shriek of incredible pain. Then the thing simply vanished. The ground stopped shaking and everything became calm. The police came 30 minutes later. Apparently the whole dorm building felt the earth shaking. They said it was a burst pipe in the boiler room. In addition to police, there were men in black suits. They said they wanted to speak to me tomorrow. I don't know who they are, but I think they know what I saw. What?